Welcome to the Mama Needs a Moment podcast with your hosts, Chrissy and Cindy, co-founders of Her Plus Health Collective, and moms who understand the chaos of juggling it all. But here's the thing, your well-being matters. That's why we're on a mission to change the way moms take care of themselves. This season, every episode features a roundtable conversation, bringing together trusted experts from different backgrounds to talk about the topics that matter most to moms, creating space for more collaborative, whole person care. These episodes are short, meaningful, and easy to fit into real life. You'll hear from our Her Plus expert providers sharing expert insight and real-life tips you can use right away. Learn more about them in our free provider directory linked in the show notes. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, and let's make these moments count. Welcome to Mama Needs a Moment, and a warm welcome to our Her Plus expert providers who are joining us for a discussion on supporting siblings and balancing needs in multi-child families. We are focusing on the very delicate balancing act of raising multiple children while trying to meet each child's emotional, developmental, and behavioral needs. And this is something that comes up a lot. Before we begin, each expert will briefly introduce themselves and share their area of focus. Our podcast episodes are also available in video format on our YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Carrie Ann Dittner, and I am a clinical and developmental psychologist. I am also the owner and founder of Peak City Psychology in Apex. And most importantly, I am the mom of three boys, so I've had my fair share of sibling issues over the years.
Hi, my name is Elise Davis. I am a licensed counselor and the owner of Present Practice Counseling. I have advanced training in dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, which really focuses on getting real tools into people for their real life problems. That helps us regulate our emotions and be able to have healthy relationships. I have one daughter and she is a handful, so looking forward to talking about this more.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Winslow. I am a pediatric occupational therapist by trade and the owner of Emerge Pediatric Therapy and the Therapeutic Edge Collective. I have specialized training in sensory processing, executive function, emotional regulation, and really have spent a lot of my time recently really working with whole family systems on addressing each other's regulation needs and how we play off of that. So I'm excited about the conversation today. I have three daughters. And so, yes, also deal with sibling conflicts and looking forward to diving in.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gigi Miller. I am a productivity coach, and my focus of my business, The Organized Life, is working with women and helping them with executive function support and also later diagnosed in life with ADHD.
Hello, everyone. My name is Quinandria Lee. I am a licensed clinical mental health therapist and a former school counselor, always worked in middle school. I am also the owner and CEO of Curated Space Counseling and Consulting. So I work with a diverse population. So I work with teenagers and then through adults. I do not have any children, but my extensive background with working with students and just my background in therapy also lends my expertise in this conversation. So I'm excited to be here.
I'd love to turn us now to a conversation on the regulated parent. It's so important to prevent burnout in these multi-child homes. Parenting more than one child is physically demanding, it's emotionally exhausting. You're holding competing needs for all of these individuals in your home, managing constant transitions, and often regulating multiple nervous systems all at the same time. Many parents feel overwhelmed, short-tempered, or depleted, and then feel guilty for feeling that way, as we've already touched on. I'd love to dive into an honest conversation about parent regulation, burnout, and what it really takes to stay grounded when the demands feel nonstop. How can parents support their own emotional regulation and prevent burnout around parenting while meeting the complex needs of multiple children?
This is such an important important topic. And I want to say that it's not even for just multiple kids. It's like parenting in general right now is the hardest thing ever. I think there was recently, I don't know if it was Time Magazine or one of those had like parenting stress. It was an article that came out that is an all-time high. It has to deal with just in terms of, broader issues as far as like our children getting, jobs and social media and phone usage and internet. I mean, parenting stress, we're not even battling like multiple needs within our households. We're battling like these other external needs as parents as well. So burnout is real. And I think where I'm going with this is that I do a lot of self-compassion. I think parents need to develop first and foremost this voice that parenting is hard rather than what am I doing wrong? That's constantly, what am I doing wrong? Like, nothing is easy. My days aren't easy. Like, girl, they're not going to be easy, right? Like, this is like really validating your experience and bringing to the table self-compassion that this is hard. We spend a lot of time reworking that framework, having that idea that I am not a bad parent, I am not failing, but I am having a tough time because this is cognitively, emotionally, and physically demanding. And so I think that is first and foremost the self-compassion piece. It is not an excuse. And that's the other piece that I work on, which is probably a separate conversation, because some moms especially come to me and say, well, I'm making excuse if I'm saying this is too hard. No, you're not. You're just kind of validating what's a very real thing. It is compassion is not an excuse. It is necessary. I think starting with that. And my other piece is, which Brittany and everyone else here, Gigi, Keandra has talked about, is that regulation piece. And I don't think regulation just occurs in the moment. I think you have to keep an eye on sort of that body budget that we talked about, that am I kind of making deposits in my own self-care every day. And it's not about going to the spa. Nobody has time to do that, or taking a trip to Belize or anything else. This is literally just about, unfortunately, right? Like this is just about what kind of glimmer can I deposit in my day, whether it's a 5-minute cup of coffee, or a 10-minute walk outside. That budget that you have for self-care is also necessary.
I love everything that you said around that. I think we need to give ourselves some kind of grace around all of those pieces. And I developed a framework that I've been using with a lot of families recently called the RISE model. And the first part of that is reduce cognitive load. And I think if we think about when we get super emotional, like emotionally dysregulated, we're trying to kind of tackle so many things at the same time. I'm sure this is in Gigi's wheelhouse as well, as she helps families through this. But if we think about what are the things that we can really set up that is going to reduce decision making, put some things on a little bit of like a, repeat this, structure over and over. Like, what are those things that we can do to reduce cognitive load? Think about the, integration of the sensory piece. What do we need to do to be regulated? And then kind of where Gigi might have, so I would love to hear her opinion on this too, like on the side of the executive function piece. So how can we reduce the cognitive load, address the executive function? Like, what are the things that we can set up in systems in our house that's going to reduce friction, reduce some of the daily tension, like evaluate those things? I mean, in my household, it was something as silly as, with having 3 girls and having to do hair every morning, like every morning it was this battle of, where's the hairbrush? Where's the hair ties? Do we have this? Did you leave the hair ties all in your room? Whatever it is. So we created a system at home where we do our hair downstairs, like near the kitchen. And there's a little thing hanging on the wall for it because that's just where it flows naturally in our morning routine. So taking the time to really think about what systems can I set up to reduce cognitive load, to give myself some gifts to be able to have some capacity to be a little more regulated throughout the day.
Did you get the question? We just need you to build a new bathroom.
I was going to say, I can't tell you how many times I've been in someone's home and that is the issue. And we move everything downstairs and it's like, oh, this makes so much more sense. But I do think a lot of the executive functions come into play, helping clients declutter and simplify their environment is not only good for the parents, but it's good for children. I mean, the more they see, the more like decision making they see and the more chaos they see. So simplifying your space, simplifying schedules, having routines in place, not just for the kids, but as a family. All of these things takes a load off the mom, which usually carries it all, and brings in the whole family. Have a family meeting. Discuss every week, discuss what is going on with everyone's schedule, have it be visible. And really, I think it comes down to involving the whole family. The burden of having an organized home and an efficient time management systems does not need to be just on one person.
I think part of this is also, we talk about the larger conversation of the self-compassion of these things, but it's also identity, right? So it's, who are you outside of being a mom? Who are you outside of being a parent? And that's where a lot of these heavy emotions of the guilt and the shame and all of these things, because you're putting it into one identity. This is who I am. This is the one thing that I want to be really great at, all the things, right? So it's, who are you outside of the roles that you play in your life? Outside of being a mom, outside of being the daughter, outside of being the sister, right? What do you do to fill your cup? Where it's, today might have sucked at home, right? But I showed up for myself by going to the gym. I showed up for myself by having this little piece of happiness where it still reminds me that I am still human and I may have completed this one task today. So figuring out just who you are outside of the roles that you play, where it's, you're not putting all of the ownership and all of your accomplishments and all of your worth into one role in who you are as a person, because you are bigger than just your role as a mom.
Do you love our real, unfiltered conversations on motherhood? Help us keep them going.
By becoming a patron, you're not just helping us keep the podcast going, you're fueling meaningful conversations, supporting moms, and helping us bring on even more incredible expert guests. Plus, you'll get access to exclusive perks like behind-the-scenes content, bonus episodes, and a deeper connection to our Her Health Collective community.
Join us today and be part of something special, because every mom deserves a moment. Let's make sure we can keep creating them together.
A big part of what you were just talking about is really about what kind of human do I want to be and how do I want to show up in the world, right? And so we can think about, like, what are my values and what's important to me and what are all the ways that I can start to weave those values into my life, and what does that look like in a realistic basis. And I think the other thing that we're talking about is really talking about some, like, just radical honesty, right? Of, if I get 3 hours of sleep, I am not going to be effective with X, Y, and Z. And so how do I set those limits? And when I set those limits that says that I have to get, I need to be asleep by this time to wake up at this time, then that might mean that now someone else has to take the dishes or the laundry or the something else, because they're realistic factors that come into play when I place those limits and those boundaries. And so then we have conversations about what all parties need, because moms are also a part of the system. And so we have to be taken into consideration when we're thinking about not just what does everybody else need, but also what do we need in terms of to be effective, to honor our limits and our boundaries, which actually reduces resentment and bitterness and distress and increases our ability to be emotionally regulated to do all the other things that we're doing, as well as thinking about, like, what are our values? How do I want to show up as a human? Who am I outside of just this identity as a mom? So that way I can be sustained in the middle of, we're honestly talking about parenthood as a lifelong journey. My parents are still parenting me, and I'm very grateful for it, right? So how do we create that space where we're able and they're able to do this for the long haul? Because that's really what we're doing, is we're building tiny humans. And how can we give ourselves the ability to be able to do that for a long period of time?
Something that I just did with my kids, that Quinandria, actually, you had written content for our website about this, to go and do the love language quiz. And I didn't realize how much it would benefit me. And I think it has a different impact with teenagers, because perhaps you all can speak about this, but I think their love languages are a little bit more defined when they're older versus when they're young. But my girls are different. One likes physical touch and one likes quality time. And so my question to all of you is, how can parents make the most of the limited one-on-one time, because I know with my one daughter, I would spend time perhaps giving her hugs, or, you ask them what they want, but, give her a couple more hugs. The other one is quality time. And unfortunately, the quality time that I would choose, cleaning a room, would not be what she would choose. But I just was wondering if you all have feedback on, moms are pulled in different directions, and how can they make the most of that limited one-on-one time?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I had a friend give me some really good advice. So she had a kid, her son wanted to do something and she didn't really enjoy doing it in terms of that quality time. So she set a timer. And it's like, I can agree to do this thing with you for 10 minutes, and I'm going to be completely mindful for that 10 minutes. I'm going to do it all the way. And then when the 10 minutes is over, we can stop doing this game, right? So that way, when we have limited time, we are making the most out of it can be really important. And I think we also want to challenge the myth of, for example, things like quality time or gifts or any of these kind of acts, love languages that we're doing, that it has to be a lot of it. We want to be consistently pouring in these things. That small hug, the 5 minutes here, the me hearing about your day for 2 minutes is part of what is pouring into that love bucket, right? Consistently. So it doesn't have to always be a heavy load.
I'd like to add to that too, because I think that our kids can pick up when we're not into something. And so, really like, thinking through, okay, I'm going to try to not be distracted. I'm really going to be here. I'm going to be engaged. And I think one way to help connect us to that takes a little bit of soul searching back to when we were kids, and like, what did we used to get lost in? What did we like to play? Like, what are those things that really lit us up? And it might not match what your kid wants to do, but I think if we're able to ground ourselves in like, what did I feel and what did I enjoy and what did this mean to me? I think we're able to kind of source a little bit of that like forward into our own parenting of how can I kind of take that energy to really be fully present in, yeah, playing this game, or doing this pretend play thing that I might be thinking about, payroll, or, my treatment session, or whatever else is popping up in my brain. But if I can really just channel that and be fully present, it is so much better and greater. And I think so much more impactful than us just trying to check it off the list.
Yeah, and research really shows that 10 or 15 minutes of that all in type of activity is what produces the connection. It doesn't need to be a festival. It doesn't need to be a whole day of like shopping and nails, 10 to 15 minutes. But the rule is you have to be all in. You can't be like, kind of looking at your phone or making the dishes, all in. And that's doable because, you can't necessarily be all in for an hour on pretend play. Like some people just don't love pretend play, right? So 10 minutes is very doable. But I think I want to add to that is there's these small little things that I like to teach parents do is just describing what your kid does throughout the day. Everyone loves to be noticed. So quality time can come from, oh, I see you got your backpack. Like as you're going out the door, I would narrate to my kids. I'd be like, oh, you got your backpack. Oh, you're in the car. We've got our seatbelts. I would literally just almost like a sportscaster describe what was going on around me. Oh, you got your dish in the sink. Oh, we're going right upstairs to shower. I would narrate. They're being noticed. You see me. And it doesn't have to be like, always like this praise. Oh, good job going up the stairs. No, it's not a good job to go up the stairs. Like it's literally just like you're going up the stairs. I see you. And I think that's a really good way to kind of build that connection with kids.
Is there an age where that stops? Like, should Cindy be narrating to her high schooler? Should I be narrating to my partner? Like, is there a cutoff?
Yeah, they'd be like, are you all right?
Yeah, I definitely think it's not as constant with my adolescents as it was kind of back in the day, because I was also kind of like keeping them on task. Let's keep it moving, So I was kind of following the systems that probably like Gigi spends a lot of time doing, like trying to kind of narrate that. Let's keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I don't narrate as much anymore. Yes, my high schooler would look at me like, cry, like what is going on now? But I do, yeah, I mean, I do notice, like I notice, you're doing your work. Like I notice you're studying. I mean, so I do still notice, but probably not as frequently.
The big thing that you're talking about, Carrie, we're circling back to validation, right? And that there's ways that I can validate you, I can see you, I can join in life with you, right? And there's multiple levels to validation. And sometimes it's narrating, sometimes it is, I see you, I hear you, you're telling me this. Other times you can validate by action. So I have a high schooler that has been studying really hard for a test. I might go upstairs and slide them a snack, right? And say like, hey, I see that you're doing lots of hard work. I imagine that you're probably hungry now, right? Or my partner is outside doing something and I go and take them some water. So there can be other ways that we can validate and have that quality time and that connection. And as we've been talking about like conflicts and essentially just disruptors or ruptures in the home or in the family system, validation is what soothes that. It comes in and we connect before we even deal with the rupture. And then that gives us the ability to say, hey, we're all in this together. How do we want to move forward? And that's really what we're talking about here.
I'd just like to add one more thing that Cindy was saying. I always tell clients to focus on connection, not correction. I hear, and this is a spouse thing, this could be anybody, but I hear my sister talking to my niece all the time about, oh, why don't we spend some time together organizing your closet? And that is like the absolute last thing that she wants to do with her mother. And so, really being intentional and present about the time you're spending together and not using it as a time to teach something or correct a behavior.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Gigi. Yes, with neurodiverse children, they tend to get very messy bedrooms, and I can see how that affects their behavior. And so it's a balancing act. I want them to feel better, but I also want to connect with them. Isn't parenting all about the balancing acts? And on another note, Quinandria, you probably see this in the schools when you were in there, but tweens and teens still like validation. My kiddos still come to me and they'll say, Mom, look at me, watch me, as they do a dance. So she's nodding her head and laughing. So yes, it does still happen.
Yes, working in a middle school, it's always out again. I always worked with eighth graders, but I always had my sixth and seventh grade babies, and middle schoolers love hugs and just the constant validation. So it's like when I see them, they've been in my office like studying for a test, or they were really nervous about something, and then they come back and they're just like, Miss Q, like I did good in this test, or I did better. And I'm just like, okay, I see you. I love this for you. You know, like just giving them that small validation, or even just like in the hallways, it's just like, okay, like you got a haircut. Look at you. Do hear who this, right? So it's just those small moments of I do see you, and I'm calling it out, and I'm making it like I'm making light of it, but I know that this is probably making your day.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for all of that. That was a wonderful discussion. Most parents don't want their kids competing for love and attention or worth, but competition can quietly creep into families and dynamics through comparison, scarcity, or their survival mode parenting. At the same time, parents are trying to raise independent individuals and a connected family unit. We talked about a lot of this throughout the various different episodes, but I think in this last piece, we're trying to bring it all together for everyone. Bringing it together is no small task. So in this final conversation, we're zooming out to talk about the long-term picture, what it looks like to intentionally nurture unity, empathy, and strong sibling relationships over time. My question is to all of you, what intentional practices help parents raise siblings who feel connected rather than competitive? And how can families cultivate unity while honoring everybody's individuality? A huge shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Your support truly means the world to us. Thanks to you, we are able to continue the weekly production of Mama Needs a Moment and getting this valuable information from these incredible guests out to you, our listeners. This final question has been recorded as a bonus and is available for our Patreon subscribers to go listen to right now. Be sure to log into your Patreon account and have a listen. If you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you. The link is in the show notes.
The overarching theme that I've heard through this entire conversation is strengths intentional time together, a team, community, this supportive unit where no matter what, we've got each other's back. And when we approach our family time from that mindset, it's gonna trickle down to our children. So I think that's such an empowering and just powerful place to come from as parents if we approach our family unit, whether it's a family meeting or just how we approach conflict within the home, is such a powerful reframe. And I'm so thankful for everyone that was able to join us today. I know Cindy and I both really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you, everyone. That's a wrap. You carved out a few moments just for yourself, and that's a big deal.
We understand that time is limited, but we've got your back, which is why we keep these episodes short, sweet, and packed with goodness.
Don't miss a thing. Hit the follow button so you're always the first to know when a new episode drops. If you had as much fun as we did, let us know by leaving a review.
And remember to let other moms know that we're here doing motherhood alongside you. Grateful to share a few moments taking care of you.